So I think so much of what my life has been about and what I'm trying, as I'm gonna go through my journey here and get educated, what I'm extremely simple about that helps me a lot is you can't say that's the blind spot. You can, first of all, you can say anything you want. And by the way, by the time it hits scale, many of the people, this is where I get very fascinated. I believe subconsciously, not even consciously, that there's a lot of people in the community that believe by the time it gets to the place where China, Russia, America, or whatever else gets into this Jesus line in the sand moment of like complete carnage, reset, who the heck knows, nirvana, wherever you want to take it, that the people that are listening right now believe they won't be on Earth. I really believe that. I believe that that's happening a little bit because that's the part that the community, Peter, in my opinion, that I keep looking for, like, and by the way, I'm sure there's people listening right now and be like, fuck, I wish I was on, and I would tell Gary, you fucking, and that's great. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm thrilled about that. For me, I have, to be unbelievably on the record, I have zero emotion or financial ramifications of Bitcoin becoming what the dollar is in every part of the world or vice versa, because I'm an adapter and a counterpuncher. I'm not overthinking about that. I'm actually, as a human, incredibly curious what the community that's been in it really thinks is gonna happen. Rome, which really was actually, it's scary for American purposes right now, undermining elections or restricting. The USSR, just resource allocation to, an arms race that, communism, is beautiful. Marxism is pretty on paper, but not real human. This goes back to the human question for me. It's almost like the internet, right? The reason the internet has think about what the internet has accomplished in disrupting so many norms, literally, and let's just call the modern internet a 1990 phenomenon, but let's call a spade. It really started kicking more in 94, 5, 6, 7 with America Online and other things of that nature around the world. To me, this is connecting everybody, right? The Soviets or the Romans versus the other people on Earth, this is actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, men, this is saying, hey, we're all gonna be together on this, and the enemy to all of us, in theory, if you play it out that basic, is every other sovereign nation. It's them against us. It's breaking the entire board game for anybody to think that China, let's just stick there, because you just have to look at humans and infrastructure and the current state of the game. For anybody to think China is gonna lay down after all the work they've put in the last 50 years, the way that country's structured, the way it's completely bought South Africa, which is set itself up for the next 50 years. For anybody to think that China, but you know what? Let's not be unfair. Russia, America, and you can plop in a whole lot of other people. For you to think they're gonna lay down.
No, we don't think they're gonna lay down. We could game that out if you guys want.
I do, and I wanna game that out, because honestly, that's the only thing I wanna learn, to be frank, right? To me, it's by far the most interesting conversation. Whether Bitcoin goes to 200,000 or 37, whether Ethereum for a different reason does X, Y, and Z, whether why did Facebook's thing not fail? Will Germany put $1 trillion into its own currency? Those things are cute. Those are cute. Playing out the game theory of no nationalism is one of the heaviest thoughts that I've ever allowed myself to think, and I think it's fascinating, and I'm just genuinely curious how anybody thinks that happens peacefully. Yeah, the bigger question there is, what's the incentive for the people that have the most leverage to allow Bitcoin to be that versus them standing up their own with the amount of leverage they have? This is what's so absolutely fascinating about this conversation. For the people that I've been doing a ton of listening for a long time, but quite a bit for a year, and now hyper bit for 6 months. I don't think a lot of people in the community realize that they're speaking to only the end game of the elimination of nations. And when you start saying, to your point, Peter, and I love how you hedged it, the listeners on the other side of the community, when you just said what you said for 2 minutes, that's too half pregnant, that's unacceptable, and it comes along with too many things that don't make the promise of what it's supposed to be. And by the way, I think that's beautiful. I don't think anything has to exist. Not the church, not America, not China, not Bitcoin. So I think it's an incredible conversation. I just continue to have this incredible fascination with the thought that nations are gonna go away. Like I just really struggle with that. And now maybe this is 500 years out too. And again, I think, Peter, what I think is happening is a lot of people are betting on this takes a long time, and I'm gonna make a lot of money for the next 50 years on this one currency. Who gives a shit? I really just genuinely think that that's actually underneath a lot of combo, which, by the way, awesome. Like, I don't know, like, good. That's what humans do anyway. But I think the notion of a borderless world, like, I can't see it. As a matter of fact, I think the timing's weird. I think it had a better chance. Like, I think the internet's timing was remarkable. Think about when the internet started hitting scale. It was a time of global peace, unseen for a long time. You just had the fall of the Soviet Union. America was kind of in this place of a Bill Clinton presidency, which was very centralist, right? If you think about where he sat as a Democrat. You just kind of had Eastern Europe completely taking, like, it was this very interesting time that allowed the bigger energy. Today, I think if the internet drops today, it struggles to have the same things happen because of where Russia, China, and America sit today compared to 1995, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think that is one of the fascinating combos of this combo, which is incredibly interesting because I think Pete Roberts' point's incredibly right. I think so much of 37,000 and Telegram and Signal comes from this. I think he's exactly right. Actually, on a personal level, Peter Robert, do you think 14 years from today, is there another coin, another currency? It might not be at 130,000 like Bitcoin. It might be at 16,000, but it's at 0.01 cents right now, or not existing right now. What's your intuition? And then comma, how much belief is there that a lot of times when you think about currency, you're talking about brand and trust, right? If you really think about what's happening, people are just trusting Bitcoin. Trusting, it's trust. I understand the underlying tech that allows more trust, the transparency, the ledger, but then how much belief is there that there'll be others? And how much, for the people that do think of this as business sense, is putting time and effort and building community around and thinking about this? Forget about pump and dump discords of Dogecoin. I'm talking meaningful conversation of yeah, this is one, like the US dollar. Guess what? The yen has money in it too, and so does the ruble. And if we're gonna go this route, if we're gonna say that it doesn't take away nations because poof, that is heavy, wars, every death, whatever, is there a current conversation around the potential? And for the people that are looking at this strictly from a commerce lens, is there worthwhileness to try to get very educated and spend 20% of your energy and time trying to be thoughtful of the emergence of another currency, because it is a lot of fun to get in at 5 cents to something that gets to $31.